crack in the window.
Oh, there's a crack in the window.
Probably a thermal stress crack. As stress builds, the crack can expand and expand. Stress crack seems very appropriate.
Some cultures see cracked glass as representing good fortune. That would certainly be nice.
When you look through it, everything looks ugly and distorted. Stress cracks are those little fractures that spread to look like a spider's web.
Each day is like the strand of a spider's web woven into the next. And like that web, sometimes sticky, you can get stuck in your routines. The days can be long.
I'm not sure how long it's been there. Could be ages for all I know. I've never really paid attention to the window. I mean, who looks out windows?
Oh, look, he's walking that little dog again. Such a cute puppy. Takes forever to walk the length of the block. Little thing stops to sniff every puddle and every blade of grass. It would be nice to have a little dog to keep me company. A little bit of noise around this old place.
I now know what they mean, whoever they are, when they talk about the dog days. Time just drags. It's like you're pulling on the leash of an old, lazy dog. There was a butterfly trapped between the screen and the glass the other day. I must have watched him flitting around there for ages. My mind equally trapped and anxious. Thought. An anxious loop beyond the pain.
Oh. Whenever I hear a car coming down the lane, I get butterflies in my stomach, thinking maybe it's my son come to visit me. It rained today. I love the sound of the rain on the glass, watching the world go by in a rainy blur. But now that it's stopped, you can really see the dirty streaks. My son usually cleans my windows for me. He hasn't been around in a while.
I feel like I've been trapped in this room forever. I'm like one of those Victorian women locked up for their nervous condition and seeing things in the wallpaper.
Oh, what was that? A small animal in the hedge, maybe? A mouse. Ah, maybe the neighbor's cat. They tend to let it wander. Or it could just be my old eyes playing tricks on me. I don't see as well as I used to. Still, it is hard in the dark.
She's just standing there in the dark tonight. I can tell that she's there though. The streetlights catch the slightest movement. But why is she just standing in the dark? She usually has a little lamp on at least.
I know she's watching me. Probably wondering what I'm doing standing here in the dark. Someday, she will appreciate the stillness between the breaths. She will understand the importance of living in the moment. That's all we have, really.
Being sick and having to spend all my time alone has really made me appreciate other people. It gets lonely. Loneliness isn't something that I've experienced before. It's insidious though. It creeps and it crawls. Considering all of that, I feel like I've made a friend with the lady across the way. We've connected, you know?
I drew a smiley face on the window to make her laugh. You know how you can fog up the pain with your breath and then draw in it. Condensation, if my memory serves. Which it doesn't so much anymore.
The long days and loneliness were starting to get to me when I noticed her get out of that tattered old chair. Getting out of that thing is a rarity for her. I think she even sleeps in it. Anyway, she tottered over to the glass and fogged up the window, and then she drew a smiley face.
Then she also drew a happy face and waved. It was nice to be noticed. I waved back. I think people are for the most part kind. My son says I'm naive, but it's not naive. It's a way to keep a little bit of light in the darkness. some positivity. It's better to see the world as kind, as colorful, rather than bleak and gray.
The other day I had some music on, just a random playlist to have some noise in the house, when a song that my dad used to listen to came on. I don't really remember the name of the band, something about shellfish, maybe? Anyway, there's this line of the song that's been bouncing around my head. Time to play B-sides. That particular line of the song has gotten me thinking about making time and taking time for those B-side moments, those little gifts of time. I've been terrible about taking things for granted.
They used to call it riding the label. When an LP reaches the end and the needle keeps going round, making that slide, pop, shush sound. Some days are like that. Just a buzz of static when it's hard to find the melody, when it's hard to pay attention to the moment. But I've come to realize the importance of flipping the record over when the music stops.
For as long as I've lived here, I've never really paid any attention to her, the old lady in the window. I guess I kind of took her for granted. Just a shabby old lady looking out a dusty old window. I always thought that strange. I mean, mind your business.
A businesswoman, I expect. Always coming and going, always in such a rush. I've often wondered what her story was.
Betty is her name. She wrote it in the window.
She had some trouble figuring out how to write in reverse, but finally she printed Madison. Madison. A proper young person's name, I expect.
My friend Betty has really perked me up.
I look forward to our little messages in the glass, the exchange of pleasantries from across the way. They are the best parts of my day.
Does she know that there's so much to appreciate on the other side of the window?
Does she know that there is so much to appreciate in every moment?
Was Betty ever in love? Does she have a family? I don't see anybody else through that window. Before she just sat and watched the world pass by. How did she live in the world?
The creaking of this old house can instantly bring me back. The groaning of the window frame evokes memories of when I was young. He'd throw a handful of pebbles, and the clattering against the glass would bring me to the window. My house would be still, the only light from the all-seeing moon. I remember there was a crack in the window. The light from the moon was distorted as it played across my bedroom floor. His arrival always seemed to coincide with the quietest part of the night, the time when the hours would stretch the longest, the most exciting time of the night. My heart would be racing as I pulled open the curtains. My cedar chest would be my step up to the window ledge, stepping over my carefully collected hopes and dreams to sneak out into the darkness with a man I could never marry. His hands on my hips thrilled me as he lifted me from the window's ledge. A quick kiss, and then we'd run into the night, holding our breath until we cleared the hedge at the back of my yard. This went on for months. And then one night, instead of a clattering, I heard the sound of raised voices. My heart was skipping as I drew back the curtain. My father had found him, had found out about us. Through the crack in the window, I watched the man I could never marry leave. As he walked away for the very last time, his smile was ugly and distorted. I hope Madison realizes that inevitably everything comes to an end. Love, life, youth, innocence. It's their finiteness that makes these things important. I hope she never takes anything for granted.
It's easy to start taking things for granted and not appreciate the value. It's like, imagine the bike that you had as a kid. Anytime you needed it to go down to your friend's place or to grab a freezie from the corner store, it was there. By leaving it leaning against the tree in your yard, the chain starts to build with rust. You take it for granted that anytime you need it to whip down the road, wheelies and whatnot, it'll be there. But you never notice that by leaving it leaning against the tree in your yard, the chain starts to build with rust and grime, and eventually it breaks. It just breaks. This woman at work once said to me, "You seem to have it all figured out. Life, career, relationships. How do you manage? What's your secret?" I laughed and I said, "There's nothing to manage, you just do." I took that life for granted. There is management involved, and I've been looking for the secret. The secret seems to be to get out of bed and feed myself, to brush my hair and just care about something. But Betty has perked me up. When I feel better, I'll have to go over and visit her. Maybe I'll bring her something to eat. She doesn't seem to eat much either.
When she's feeling better, it would be wonderful if she would stop by for a visit. I think I have a package of cookies somewhere. We could have a cup of tea and chat.
No one seems to visit her. It must get lonely.
No one has stopped by to check on her. She must be lonely.
I hope she realizes that she is important. Our visits have brought a little bit of light
into this darkness. Oh, look! There's a crack in the window. When you look through it, everything looks a little distorted. Or maybe a little bit magical. I don't mind. It makes me look at things from a different perspective.
The light through this crack in the window kind of shimmers. It's like a little fire. It's a spark in the dark, igniting something new.